Ladies and gentlemen, Barry is about to come on talking about how to create this amazing, vital relationship, the best relationship, and it will really transform you. So stick around because we are going to rock it out. Before that, I'm saying thank you to you for showing up, for choosing to be your greatest possible self on today's marathon, for showing up, for learning, for growing in your area of relationships, intimacy, and being your GPS. Thanks for being here. Next up is our iTunes review of the week. This week, it's by Clarice Gomez, who says, awesome podcast. Chris, the host of Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self podcast, highlights all aspects of business, entrepreneurship, and more in this can't miss podcast. The host and expert guests offer insightful advice and information that is helpful to anyone that listens. Clarice, thank you so much for that review. If you want a chance to get shouted out on a future 12-hour live stream, go to beyourgps.com/iTunes or search Greatest Possible Self on the Apple Podcast Store. You can give us a review there. Let us know what you love, what you want to see more of, and how we can improve the show for you. Thank you in advance for doing that. I'm going to introduce Barry in just a sec. Before that, grab a piece of paper, grab a pen, be ready to take notes. This is going to be a power-packed interview. And you definitely want to stick around all the way through to the end because one idea has the power to change everything for you. Let's introduce Barry and bring him on. Barry Selby is a best-selling author, spiritual guide, sought-after inspirational speaker, and relationship attraction expert. He is a passionate champion for the divine feminine, helping strong, successful women create balance in their love, life, and business. He helps women own and express their feminine magnificence in love and in the world. And with over 30 years of training and experience, including a master's degree in spiritual psychology and 20 years as a spiritual counselor, he has helped thousands learn to love themselves and live in wholeness. And we are blessed to have Barry with us here today. Barry, you are ready. I can feel it. I feel the readiness. We're live on Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self, brother. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to have a lot of fun, man. I appreciate you taking the time to be here. Let's dive right in. The theme of today is keeping the fire lit. What does that mean to you, brother?
Oh, where do I begin? Thanks for having me on. I appreciate that. I had a quick listen to what was on before, and Sam and Pat were really on fire with their talk. I love what they were talking about. I come from the single perspective because most of my clients are single, and I've been single for a long time. So for me, keeping the fire lit starts with igniting your own fire inside.
Yeah.
It's living a life so fully that you don't need a partner. I've been on a tirade for probably 3 or 4 years now about looking how I can eliminate codependency from the planet. Big ask. But the reality is, for most of us, we keep thinking, well, when they show up, I'll feel this, and when they show up, I'll be happy. Life. Start with yourself, live a life fully, and then when somebody shows up, you can add that to your life. It's already amazing.
Boom, dude, 100%. Me and Petya at the beginning of our relationship were like, so we are great, complete, whole, and perfect on our own, and coming together, it's like 10x. It's like just epic, you know? So that was something that we literally communicated up front. So I think that's so powerful, such a foundation to start from for anyone who wants to create that love and that relationship that just, blows their mind,
Yep.
Yeah.
It's, but it's the thing is, we're not taught that.
Yeah.
I've used this quote so many times, it's so ridiculous. It's so funny is that, I quote from Jerry Maguire, "You complete me," is the epitome of the wrong way of doing it.
Yeah. Dude, this is gold, Barry. I want to tell our audience a little bit more about the work that you're doing, honoring and inspiring this divine feminine. Tell us more, man. How are you serving your clients today?
Well, let me start by saying why I do it. That may be a better way to start.
Let's do it.
I've had a somewhat storied past in my own relationship experience, not pretty, not perfect. And having done 30 years of growth and experience, one would think I know how to do this stuff.
Yeah.
But I kept making plenty of mistakes. And the last big one I was making was over the course of 3 relationships. And that was one of the clues, by the way. The same thing happened 3 times. So that was maybe was that I was dating powerful women who basically I didn't realize at the time were in their masculine. I was so attracted to strong, dynamic women because it was very sexy. But I wasn't in my masculine to own that space. They were.
Wow.
And at that point, it was 2006, thereabouts. I hadn't actually knew what masculine and feminine was. I hadn't learned about it. I didn't know the terms. I don't know the spiritual work and the internal work. But that masculine and feminine piece was outside my vocabulary and my understanding.
Yeah.
And after the last breakup, and I was devastated because I thought this was going to be great, going to be amazing. Looking back, I'm like, how could I have even stayed there? I was so not clear on what it was being about. But 3 months or so after that point, I met somebody who led me to some training, some teaching, some teachers, that opened my eyes to the understanding about what masculine and feminine was. And at the end of the first workshop I was in, basically through the weekend, the men and women went away to separate rooms to really embody their own masculine and feminine practices and come back together. So by the end of the weekend, we were very deep I won't say entrenched, but deeply established in our masculine and feminine roles. And where the women stood across from the men in their feminine radiance, I basically was on my knees in worship. I finally discovered, finally saw how women in the feminine were so much more powerful than anything else I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
And I'm close to that for the rest of my life, however that showed up.
Wow.
Coaching, a lot of my work's been with women who either one, don't know how to do that because they've been in the business world so much they've gotten the suit of armor on and don't know how to be relaxed as their feminine, thinking it's a weaker state because the society we live in teaches women that you've got to be like the men to succeed, otherwise you're weaker. And it's a false narrative, it's not the truth. So I'm really about letting women know as a man that when you're in your feminine, one, I have more respect for you, and two, I know you can be more powerful in the world than you can in your masculine.
Wow. Wow, man, this is powerful. I think that it just goes against the common paradigm that you have to go be like hard charging, like I would say fierce in it, because feminine can have fierceness and masculine can have fierceness as well. Like they're kind of unique fiercenesses, I would say. And I think it's the masculine fierceness, the attacking, the drive, the doing, the accomplishment, achievement. That's what's seen as like success in today's day and age. And I think it's so needed to bring that feminine perspective and healing back to the world so that we can really start to reharmonize the masculine and the feminine to create peace and love and holistic success and holistic beings on this planet, man.
Well, yeah, the thing is for me, I'd speak on that is that well, first of all, the business world was created by men. So the business world was set up by men because women at that point weren't working. They were still housewives, or they were basically the women that were taken care of by the men. So men went to work, did the business world. So when women got liberated in the 60s, they started to basically embrace the business world, but had to wear the male way of doing things to compete and succeed in that world.
Yep.
Was the thing where women got out of touch with them. They just sort of skipped from weak to strong, but in the masculine way, which wasn't healthy, or actually macho way. And one thing is I talk about the 4 C's, is for men, the masculine is about competition and combativeness. We've got to win, we've got to compete, we've got to beat the other one no matter what. That's the way the masculine is driven, where the warrior's got to be the best warrior.
Sure.
About collaboration and cooperation. And as I said, we can all win together. And based on the way society has run so far, the patriarchy that we have is pushing us towards a cliff I don't think we want to fall over. We've just been, what's happening to the world, I mean, this is a much bigger picture than just relationships, but the way we're treating the planet, treating ourselves, treating our cultures and each other, the disharmony that we're having is clearly a sign that we need more collaboration, more cooperation. And for me, the feminine bridges that, brings us together. It's great in relationships. It's great also in politics too.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I want to talk about your spiritual background and how you think that was a core part of your journey to being able to bring this divine feminine to the light and heal it for a lot of people. Why was the spiritual background important for you?
For me, 2 parts. One is that my master's degree is in spiritual psychology. So it's really understanding from a spiritual perspective that who we are and the way you talk about the vocabulary is that we're spiritual beings having a human experience, which is not unusual. That's common talk.
Right.
What it means, though, is that when we deal with stuff on the physical, mental, and emotional levels, that's the human self, and we can face stuff that we can be challenged by. It can be traumas, challenges, all sorts of things. But when we recognize that we're spiritual beings having a human experience, not that we can bypass it, but that we know that we're bigger than that. So we can face those challenges with compassion, with acceptance of who we are, that can actually make those, it's almost like the way that one of my teachers, Michael, says about when you think you have big problems, just remember, you show your problems, your big God. Is recognize it's much bigger than our problems when we connect to us. And so my spiritual studies over the last 25 years, 26 years, and my spiritual center, Agape in LA, has been really part of my transformational journey. And 10 years before that, with different teaching, to recognize that we are much bigger than we think we are. So the biggest part of that is recognize that the amount of love we have and the amount of capacity we have, compassion for the world, is so much more powerful than all this mental, what's the word I'm looking for? Mental control. Because control is an addiction, but when we're spiritual, we recognize we are all one. And that's the other part about the feminine work, is the feminine is much more allied to the goddess, to the spirit in that sense. We are also connected to the spirit too, because the masculine is the present singles consciousness. That's one of our gifts when we bring it. You can hold space like nothing else. The masculine's presence is a powerful gift.
Yeah.
feminine, which is connected to nature and connected to the way things flow, and such a gift of divinity through the moon, through the oceans, through that nature movement. The way that one of my teachers talks about it is the masculine is stillness, the feminine is movement.
Yeah.
It's the harmony and the yin yang of life.
Yeah, I love that you said both of them are gifts, like
Yeah.
embodying the masculine. That's an awesome gift. The presence, the stoicness, the rock, the unmovable, right? Just being there. And then the divine, the flow, the movement, the change, like even chaos, right? Like the
Yeah.
constantly changing, that is a gift as well, because without either one, like there wouldn't be this experience of life.
Right. And the challenge has been is that for those men who are attached to their egos and being the macho, chaos is extremely challenging because we like things to be just so. It's like we set up the world to be stable, and then she comes through and destroys everything.
Yep.
Power and the gift of that, but we take it as a curse.
Yeah, and also in our own self, being able to harmonize both of them, because it's not just men who need to be masculine, it's not just women who need to be feminine, but like to bring both of them together for optimal thriving and to heal this planet and to bring peace and to bring love to humanity, like that is required.
Yes, we do. In fact, we do carry both, exactly.
Yeah.
The thing is about it is relationships thrive when there's a masculine and feminine polarity within it, which is true of gay or straight relationships. It's not about physical gender, it's about the energy of polarity. But we carry both inside and we reside in both because there are things we do in life that will defaultly put us into a masculine or a feminine, what we need to do. Driving a car is a masculine practice because we're directional, we're going somewhere. But holding a baby and being nurturing is a feminine thing. And men can hold baby because women can, in sense of that space of safety when we choose it. But there's a wide spectrum between masculine and feminine on a polarity scale. And some men are more comfortable in one or the other or both. Some women are more comfortable in one or the other or both. So there's a range for all of us.
Yeah. Yeah. How important is it for someone to understand where they're at on the range and like how to go back and forth?
It's not a need to calculate exactly where you are. It's more about just knowing where you live. Some people, the way one of my teachers put it is that if you're like 50% masculine, 50% feminine, you're basically androgynous. There's no real pull on either side. And that's your natural residence, so be it. The thing has been is that we've, as human beings, gone through life and had lessons and challenges and stuff. So we move between the masculine and feminine as life teaches us that. So many girls were tomboys growing up because they had brothers or they just felt safer there.
Yeah.
And maybe they didn't necessarily take that shell off when they got to be an adult. They put on other layers of being like a girl and being flirty, then become a woman, and maybe decide to become a business person, and they get these layers and layers and layers of protection, but their natural core may be feminine or maybe masculine. So we have both polarities, and we reside more naturally as we were born in one place. The thing is, recognizing that we respect, well, first of all, respect ourselves in whatever polarity we have, and respect other people for who they are. That's the biggest challenge for us in life, is to recognize the differences are respectable versus like they're different. That's wrong with them. Something wrong with them. So, and then let's talk about chemistry in relationships. Just about get back to that for a moment. Chemistry, I believe, is the attraction of the opposite poles. Like magnets, if you got a strong north and a strong south pole, they pull together very strongly. Right. Same is true with masculine and feminine energetics in relationship. It's very connected, very sexy, very, very attractive. Over time, that can tend to wear out. Chemistry for a lot of people wears off after 6 months or 2 weeks or one night even.
Yep.
So the question is, how do you recharge it? Because some people think when the chemistry is gone, it's over, forget it. I've learned, thankfully, from what I've been taught, how chemistry is renewable because it's really about restoring the polarity. Where chemistry is because we lost that extreme magnetism we started with. Like when the guys are on dates and women are on dates, there's so much charged up on the opposite ends of the pole, we get very attracted to each other. But after a period of time, you get comfortable. You're sitting in sweats eating pizza together. That's not sexy anymore. You've lost the connection of that vibration. So the thing is, the only way to get back to it is to remember it, to actually choose to back into your natural polarity to create the chemistry again. It is renewable.
What in terms of peeling away the layers, like how does that relate to peeling away our layers to get to like our true essence? And is our true essence more masculine or more feminine?
Okay, so let me do two things at once here. So spiritually speaking, that's clear because it's embracing all of it. In the human experience, we tend to reside to one end or the other. I know just throwing out arbitrary numbers, I'm probably like 3/4 masculine, 1/4 feminine naturally.
Right.
Staying my masculine 100% when I focus on that, I can move into the feminine when I focus on the other side. It's up to me where I want to be, true for all of us. So that is a fluid scale. The choice point is where do you feel most comfortable? And so a lot of times is when we really do some self-reflection, we'll look at ourselves and go, you know what, that's not my natural place. I've always it should be this, but I've been trying to do something else. That's a clue to change things. So it's sometimes a peeling of layers. Oftentimes, if somebody's willing to look at this, is to look at back at what are those major milestones in life that are either positive or negative, because they generally will shift that perspective. You know, I know that one of my things was I was bullied in high school. Being raised in a Jewish family in England. I was in a pretty small minority at the school I went to. So I was bullied in high school because I didn't say no at the beginning. I didn't stop at the beginning. So within 5 years by the other boys. But I was safe amongst the girls. And even though I was straight, I was in more of my feminine because I just felt safer there. But they thought me as their trustworthy friends. So I couldn't threaten that by dating them or anything like that. So I ended up realizing it. But it was a mask I was wearing over my natural masculine. And so it's a matter of revealing that and going through a journey to forgive and accept that I'd made that choice and then get back to my true masculine core.
So what does that look like practically, tactically, that someone could do to forgive and accept and heal that?
Talking about forgiveness, a couple of days ago I did a Facebook Live and I said forgiveness is the best revenge. Because the thing about forgiveness is it's not about anybody else.
Yeah.
Forgiveness really is about letting ourselves off the hook. You know, we can say, well, I'm going to forgive that person for what they did to me. No, you don't have to do that. What you want to do is forgive the judgments you placed against them that kept you separate from yourself. They won't do things differently necessarily unless they get a change in behavior. Forgiving them won't change that. Forgiving yourself lets you be free so you're not on the puppet strings of their actions.
Wow.
That's the thing about judgments. It's like being Pinocchio, giving someone else the puppet strings. And they get to control their emotions because we're reacting to what they say or do or don't do. Saying, you know what, you do whatever you do, I'm fine with myself. You may need to leave the space to be free, but you're no longer preoccupied with what they are and what they did, not being resentful anymore.
Yeah. There's so much information. There's so much available today. I'm curious, what do you see as the biggest challenge to actually embodying this wisdom and especially what you've learned over the years? What would you say is the biggest thing that stops people from embodying this balance, this harmony, this divine energy?
The simplest thing I say is turning within. In the simplest, it means literally is we're so caught up in what the world teaches us, shows us, markets to us. We forget that we may know better inside. We have an authority inside we don't rely on. But first, what it's requiring is to turn within, to start to disengage from all the training, programming, and sales we keep getting from the world around us, from social environment, from marketing, business, whatever it is, and say, you know what, I know I'm different from that. And so it's coming back to being true to yourself, which can require working with a guide or some trainings or books or something that will help you with that. There isn't just one, I'm sure there's plenty of books out there and teachings, but to really get clear about who we are and why we're here is the place to start from. Because then you become governed from an inner guidance system that can then take you wherever you want to go in the world. You know,
that's good.
We live in a world of comparison and the contrast, and we look at other people and go, well, I could be like them or better than them. May not be true. Different from them, yes. But to use that as a leverage point, again, is a codependent environment. Sorry, we didn't say something.
How do we not get caught up in comparison and contrast while still enjoying the experience that we came here to have?
Again, saying back to I know self be true, we attach happiness to outside experiences, and that's the trap. Is we think when we have what they have, we'll feel better. When we think we have what they have or better than they have, we'll feel victorious and happy. It takes a few times for some people. I've done it a few times and realized that didn't work. Is to recognize that when you do get there, there's no there, so to speak. You know, it sounds silly to say that, but the truth is it really comes back to that happiness is I keep saying happiness is inside, the truth is inside. But over the years, so much of the work I've done is that every time I watch the outside world present me with a choice about do I want to try and compete with that or stay true to myself, when I started doing outside referencing is when I lose. You know, inside.
What is the truth that we create, that we affirm, that we speak into existence about our source, about what is already within? How would you verbalize that and give someone a belief or a paradigm to own that would help them be happy within?
That's a big ask. I'll see what I can do. I mean, as again, as I said, I was raised in a Jewish family, so I come from a very much a teaching that put God like out there somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
And thankfully, I learned basically I started learning in my mid-20s, but it's more in my 30s when I started getting this clearly, is that illusion that was taught by basically most religious teachings was based on the premise that, well, if I can go really out on a limb and be really challenging to the status quo, the book wasn't written by God. It was written by people to interpret what was teaching so they could control the masses.
No.
And I could go down the pathway about, Jesus was a Jew and other stuff. I'm not going to go down there. But the thing is, what I recognize more and more as the work I've done is that when we start recognize that we are connected to that source internally without having to go to some church structure, other person higher than us, the teacher out there who's teaching has to be a person that's saying, I'm pointing the way, I'm not the source. When we recognize that the source is something inside of ourselves, which I'm getting that more people wake up to, then we start to recognize that whoever's out there choosing to influence with their teachings, we can filter as we choose to, not be blindly believe. Who we are is a divine expression of spirit. I'm going to put that. And I've had experiences enough to know that connection inside. I've had some pretty mind-blowing experiences where I just recognized that I was like, I knew what God was, the energy. I couldn't explain it, I could feel it. Recognition was just confirmation of what I'd already been studying and really getting to handle on. And I can't tell people like, you should do this to get this result. But if you have any question or curiosity about discovering, is if you started doing something like meditation, or spending time with yourself, away from the world, turning off your devices, and spending time just connecting back inside, it may take a couple of days, it may take a couple of months, but you might start noticing a different quality of life shows up. Meditation is a simple thing when you can do it, but the challenge of meditation is we have a mind that gets in the way of it. But when we start relaxing, and the biggest thing for meditation for most people is simply a way of quieting the mind. The thing is, when you do get the mind quiet, then what else shows up? And that's when the fun begins.
So good. Why do you say a relationship, like love relationship, is closer and more vital than we think?
Well, I said at the beginning about how we keep looking outside to be source, and there's a challenge, especially in relationships, that codependent paradigm where that person is going to make me feel better, is that the true relationship is inside ourselves, because we become the magnet that attracts the partner. That's the whole attraction process. So if you're feeling not good about yourself, you tend to find somebody who's going to mirror that back to you. So if you want an amazing relationship, you got to have one with yourself first. I've been preaching basically for the last few months, actually more than that, over a year now, about how self-love is the starting point. Because if we recognize who we are as enough and we can love ourselves fully, then that relationship out there is not filling a gap we have. It actually becomes additive and we can expand beyond ourselves. Like you were saying with Bettia, your relationship was predicated on the fact you were already complete and whole as you were. It wasn't like the other person was filling something up for you. Yes, the other person brings to you things you didn't have present, versa, but you're still whole and complete as you are. And that's the recognition, is the relationship inside. When you heal that one, become whole, you also don't have the patterns that you're carrying around from past relationships that you need to be mirrored by your partner. One of the biggest challenges we do in relationships is we don't resolve something, and then that person brings back to us what we haven't resolved yet, again and again and again. So when we start to do our own inner work and heal those patterns, we start to attract a better quality of relationship.
How can you be, I understand it, but for people out there who are listening, how can you be whole, complete, and perfect with negative thoughts and traumas and stuff that we're carrying from the past? What is truly fully loving yourself?
This is the challenge we face, is that we live in a very physical world. So our emotions, our thoughts, and our feelings and our physical experiences are extremely visceral. We know what they are. Spirit's much more amorphous because it is internal, it is disconnected. So it's easy to lean into what we know practically is what's experiencing the world. When we pinch us, we feel it. So the understanding is that is when we can recognize that who we are is that spiritual being, then we can bring that spaciousness, that compassion, that love to all those different areas. What I go for myself is when I start really tapping into that place, when I'm working with my own self or with other people, there's a different energy, if there's a better way of putting it, of what can be done to transform. Because those experiences we've had, yes, are traumatic and may be painful, but when we still let them run our lives, we lose control. The fact that what happened to us does not dictate where we want to go. This is a challenge that we all face in life, is that we tend to choose life based on our past. Hindsight 2020, and we're basically driving backwards into our future, which isn't very healthy. Until we look back at our past and truly see what it is we've chosen or made okay, we can't change it to look forward from a clean slate. And so moving forward from a clean slate is the best way to have a future you want. not necessarily spiritual,
Mhm.
but at least healing your own journey.
Yeah. What is the like if someone wants to get into their dream relationship quickly, what is the most effective, efficient way to create that dream relationship?
I mean, I did say that earlier about being in a great relationship with yourself, which it starts from that place.
Yeah.
It's and this is sort of borrowing from Abraham Hicks. It's like you basically the teaching about you've got act as if.
Hmm.
So what you're doing is you're affirming what you want to have by enjoying the experience. So you
Hmm.
may not necessarily be able to go on a dates with somebody at that point, but you can do certain things like practically in your life to feel like you're in that experience.
Hmm.
So take movies, do things that are more romantic with yourself.
Mm.
You can choose the level of exposure you do in the world about that. I'm not saying this as the dinner might be a thing you don't want to do, but at least going out in the world and enjoying being in your own company makes you less needy. Because the thing about antithesis of attraction is neediness for me. So it is repulsive energy.
Wow.
So already loving yourself first and enjoying your own company, you become more magnetic to what you're looking for. There are women out there, like it happened before, I know. I always noticed when I was younger, I always be attracted to women who were in a relationship. It wasn't because I was looking for that, but because they looked more attractive, because they were more relaxed, they weren't needy, they were more comfortable. You look at what people in a relationship when they're in, especially in the early days of a relationship, they're very happy and they're very full of themselves. They're very attractive people, more than when they were single. That's the key. When you can be that attractive when you're single, will make you more attractive to a partner.
Hmm. And then keeping that attractiveness throughout the relationship. What's the principle there?
Well, first of all, again, being self-reliant and self-fulfilled first.
Yeah.
Your partner doesn't do anything that is necessary for you to be happy.
Hmm.
And it is the challenge because in romantic relationships we get so invested with each other. We hope they can make us happy, and that's a path you don't want to go down if you can avoid it. And if you do, get back out of it. It's going to happen. So remember, it's not the end of the world if it happens. It's more about coming back to yourself.
Hmm.
And knowing that the love they share is an overflow. It's a bonus. It is what makes a relationship greater. It's like the relationship is a gestalt, whereas the sum is the whole is greater than the sum of the parts.
Hmm.
So if you're 100% person, you're the other 100% person. Relationship's 200%. It's not 50-50. And so when we grow beyond that 50-50 codependent paradigm, then we can thrive, and our partner's not feeling weighed upon, nor are we. It is an elevated place to play, and it's not that common yet. And most movies, love songs, TV shows, stories in the newspaper don't teach that.
Yeah.
They teach codependent model. I said it's like 95% of the love songs since the 60s have been about codependency.
Wow.
I'll die if I can't live without you.
Yeah. You complete me. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I can live without you, but I'd like to have you with me.
Wow. Wow. It's powerful, man. What, as far as the action and thinking and energy, what's the balance between taking action towards these things and creating an awesome relationship and the energy and thinking around it?
Well, it starts with knowing what you want.
Yeah.
How do you want to feel, what you want to have, who you want to be with energetically first. So it is a place of taking the time first. Like you create your intention first, then you take action. Kind of like you can like ready, fire, aim, or ready, aim, fire.
Yep.
That sort of. When you learn to, it's better to aim, not to aim a specific person, but aim what you're thinking, what you're focusing on. Because I've known from experience, like when I clearly know what I'm about, who I am, I'm actually less attached to what I'm looking for. That's another key, by the way. If you're meeting somebody, you tend to be you come from that, you put off an interesting energy of being of needy and wanting, which for some people, they don't mind that. Most people like repulsive.
Yeah.
I've been both on the needy side and on the needed side. So I've been always both. So not pleasant.
Yeah. Because some people, it fills them up to be like the knight in shining armor, for example, for the damsel in distress. And like when they have that, that kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Like a relationship, and that energy fulfilling probably some kind of wound, right? Like, hey, I want my ego to be fulfilled because someone needs me. Then like
I've done, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I was in a seminar back in the mid 80s. And in the seminar, we did a lot of personal growth, and we go through our darkness into our light. And on the line, somebody called me a white knight. And because I'm English, I was out here in the States at the time. And I was in the room because of my accent, so they called me a white knight. After we left the event that night, he saw my car, and I just bought about 6 months prior a brand new white Toyota Supra. 86, I think it was, 85. So it was a sparkling new car. So I decided I was going to get the plate for the car. So White Knight, WHKNGHT.
Love it.
For the next 4 years, every woman I was around seemed to need something from me. I was saving them. dragon or some sort of life.
Wow.
And relationships are like that. I would date women who basically needed saving. I felt really great. I felt like, look what I'm doing. But I wasn't being fulfilled. I was just like saving them. And I finally said, I need to give it up because I was really finding too many damsels in distress. I want a woman who stands on her own 2 feet, who rides her own horse. They can be equals, because the truth of a healthy relationship is it's not about one saving the other. It's about saving ourselves and being equal partners. And 2 weeks after I decided I'm done with the plate, my car was stolen.
Wow.
So that was a message saying, okay, you're done. Let's take it out completely.
Wow.
I should have done that first.
Wow. That's powerful, man. That's so like energetically getting it removed from your life. It's so interesting how when we have evolved past a stage, a season of life, like the evidence of it or the thing, the prop, the catalyst, the thing gets removed.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Wow, man. This is great stuff. This is great. What role does having a crystal clear vision of what you want, like how important is that? Like designing the dream man, dream woman, what life looks like, what it feels like. How does that play a role in what you share?
I would suggest being crystal clear on how you want to feel from being in that partnership. Be a little bit softer on how they look and what certain things about them, because you may discover the person you actually want to be with doesn't have everything on the physical level. You said, like, you want to have the nice house and the car. Well, if you're going to put a picture of a car and a house on the vision board, it might be that, but you make it really hard for spirit to deliver, sort of thing. So have a clarity to deal with that person, how you want to deal with you. So it's more about that invisible stuff in a way. It's like how you want to feel supported, you want to feel honored, you want to feel appreciated.
Yeah,
you want them to feel the same way too. That's a much better place to build your platform from. And then ideally, yes, they take care of themselves, they're healthy. They might be like Mr. Universe, but they're fit and healthy. That's fine. But it's having that, it's like being softer on the image of who they are. Like, yes, you want to be at least 2 inches taller than you. Those sort of details you can have. But if you want to say they'll give you 6'2", black hair, blue eyes, if it's for the women looking for guys,
right, and
as a 30-inch waist and drives a red car and all stuff, like, you may be being a bit too specific. Be a bit.
Yeah, and I think it's like I love what you said about how do you want to feel, and then also what are the non-negotiables of the how you want to feel, and what are like what would be nice to have. And I think all too often, especially my guess is women say, he has to be this way looking, right? And it's like, okay, well, if you're like really controlling the universe and how the experience is going to be or what it ends up being, like you may find yourself getting disappointed time and time again, because that actually may not be in your highest and best good to get that kind of person. And like, like that may not be the package that you're supposed to be delivered. So it's like, what would be nice to have? And then say, okay, this is what it could look like. That seems to me at this point in time, at my level of awareness, to be what would fulfill me the most. And that, or something even better that, my higher self says, no, this is what you're supposed to have. And those non-negotiables, like, I know that this is what it's meant to be,
Right. I have an online course called Attract the Man You Want for the ladies. And the first thing we do is get a list of all things you don't want. Like all things us, because the thing is, we all have those lists of things like, oh, this was so bad the last time, was that person there? I don't want that again. So you make a list of what you don't want first. Then you take that list and you flip it into a positive. So you basically affirm. So yes, you may have some red flags, like you make sure they're monogamous, that they, like, you don't want somebody who cheats on you, you want somebody who breathes freely and is healthy. So flip the stuff you've got affirmations, because as Richard Ford. Oh, sorry. I was going to say the guy started Ford Motor Company. I was going to say Richard, not Richard.
Henry Ford.
Henry. Name still in my head. Henry Ford said about, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right.
Yeah.
And by Nick's lingo, basically it's like whatever you focus on is what you attract, whether it's negative or positive, because our mind doesn't hear no. Our mind is focused on the results. So you say, I want somebody who doesn't smoke, you're thinking about smoking. Or you say somebody who's healthy and free, focus on that. So it's really about putting the positive qualities into what you want to have. Again, experiences. And it's important to know what your red flags are, because that's the starting point to get clear about what you do want. Start with what you don't want.
Yeah. What, as far as intention of what we want to contribute to the relationship and be for the other person, what's important there that you've seen?
Well, the simplest thing is don't be lazy. And let me, add a piece of that, because one of the things about being masculine is that we are goal-oriented beings.
Yeah.
Our skill set is to focus on the goal, get it, and be done. And the truth ultimately is that we men are lazy, because when we've achieved a goal, we can put our feet up and relax for a minute, and then we go on the next one.
Yep.
There's a book by William Glasser called Mastery. And that book talks about how in the journey of, especially an entrepreneur, going through life exceeding in goals, it's like we climb the mountain to a certain point, then we hit a plateau. And that plateau can be a day, a week, a month, whatever it's going to be, for us to restore and reset and go to the next one. But the temptation of some men is when we get the relationship, we stay on the plateau forever. Like, no, we need to keep moving forward and growing. So for men especially, we've got to keep focusing on what we want to keep contributing, and it's a relationship. For women, same thing. It is about contribution, but it's also about how can we become better at being ourselves in the relationship. That's a very big contribution right there.
Yep.
Wow. So it's about that way. So it's almost like, okay, so in a partnership, you take better care of yourselves. Do you want to go like travel more, explore more of life, and experience more of what life has to offer? Plan for that. Make that part of your relationship goals.
Yeah, that's good. So I love the restore and reset, to be able to like get to the next phase, because like to always be going, that would create burnout, just as far as creating goals and sharing goals, or the vision of the relationship together, like communicating that, what's important there, Barry?
Well, ideally, you want to know you're on the same page with your partner. So early on, it's worth having common and discussed goals. And funny, it's what I think is what Sam and Pat said earlier about you understand what the other person said. The biggest things we have a challenge with is we hear somebody say something, we think we know what they said. It's important sometimes to feedback what we heard to make sure we'd say, oh, that's what you really said. Good, now I understand. So having clear communication is vital, and also be on the same page, because especially with new relationships, you might say, well, you know what, my vision is to have 3 kids, and the other's vision is like, I want to have none or 1. You need to get on the same picture. So it's important to have common goals that you agree on. And it's really about having a conversation. And it's also great when you have a partner who really is committed to you and you're committed to them, because then you have double support for your goals and visions, which is wonderful. So having that teamwork approach and sharing in a place that is safe and sacred with yourselves is a very healthy way to do your goals.
Yeah. So good, Barry. When it comes to like keeping like trust in relationships, and like that open intimacy, deep intimacy, what do you think is important there?
So much. Oh boy. It depends on what you're again. Having common goals, common understandings, as we said earlier, is important. Trust is part of that for me. If you're in a relationship with somebody, what are your boundaries about that? Like, have trust that the person you're with can be flirtatious with other people but doesn't do anything about it. Can you be trusting? Because if you have that goal about being monogamous, if you don't, you're polyamorous, don't care, then so be it. It's like you need to know what your framework is that you're playing with. From that place, you can be clear that what you're trusting a person to be about and being about you can rely upon that. So that's the key part of it, is the trusting. Intimacy is one of those interesting phrase or words, because some people for some men that means sex. That's just the way it is. Intimacy is about that trust and depth of connection that goes beyond the physical. And really that place, when you get to that place of true trust and intimacy, then you can have more freedom to grow. And that's really adding to the relationship. Again, building high quality relationship is part of that.
What do you think is the difference between physical trust and like spiritual trust?
Well, true spiritual trust is attachment. Spiritually, we know we are divine spiritual beings. All of us are. So what people have on the physical, you can also be unattached to that. So that's an interesting line to walk, because if you're in a spiritual only, then what the other person does, they do. You don't feel attachment. It's very, but it's also not very sexy or connected. because sex is human based, but it's transcendent. It's not spiritually driven. Let's be clear about that. It's like when we come in unity together in sexual chemistry and intimacy and passion, we can raise into spirit, but we don't get fed from spirit first. Just my perspective, right? So truly, it's like how we create the physical level is agreed upon framework, boundaries, commitment. The rest of it, spiritually speaking, is part of the journey we do together. We grow more in spiritual, we open up to spirit. I don't know if that answers your question accurately. You touched on them both, I know, but
that's good. When you work with your clients, like what are some of the most common things that you work on with them, and like what kind of results do they get?
Well, first of all, as I said earlier, we talk about self-love. So many of my clients, I talk to this, why I talk about it so much as a separate topic, is because most of my clients are carrying around the wounds of past relationships where they feel like they don't honor themselves and they feel like they weren't respected. because the thing is they haven't honored respect to themselves.
Right.
So a lot of my work is helping them rebuild, restore, and remember who they really are. And then healing the wounds from past relationships, because a lot of times they're walking around with like a spear stuck in their side from a past relationship that still hurts. But they haven't let go of it because there's an attachment to that relationship that keeps it embedded.
Yep.
Biggest challenge we face is that we carry around resentments of past relationships because something they did before that is important to us. We hold on to that resentment, feeling like it's their last claim to their relationship. It's not healthy. So it's that letting go of the past relationships, loving themselves fully so they can be autonomous to move forward into the next choice in their lives. So most of the clients, it's actually not necessarily about getting, even though I talk about helping women attract the man they want, it's all about becoming the woman to attract the man they want is the primary focus.
What is the most fulfilling part about serving your clients for you?
Honestly, it's when I hear from clients how they really see themselves fully in the mirror the right way. Like they look at themselves and go, I know who I am. That means the most rewarding because most people, we don't have that. A lot of people carry around that belief that they are who they are because what people have told them about themselves. We want to help them remember their truth and they start to choose a better place. And when they share that they're in a relationship, there's so much beyond their past relationships. That's satisfying. That's rewarding.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that with Petia, like when she talks about how she's so grateful for what we have because everything up to this relationship, either, like it didn't meet that standard. It didn't meet what she's experiencing in this relationship. Right. And so she's grateful for it not working out so she could step into this relationship so that she could actually discover what it means like to have a man who like cares about her so much and treats her like a queen and things like that. And I think it's just awesome when we can have that level of perspective and appreciation. And also for people who might be in relationships that aren't serving their highest good to say like, I'm grateful for this relationship and how it's led me to this point. And now it's time to say like, hey, either these are the standards, these are the non-negotiables, this is what has to happen. These are the, my boundaries that I'm going to start to declare and enforce and, like love myself with. Or like we're going to say, hey, this has served its relationship. This relationship has completed its run. Its season is over. I love you, bless you in your journey of life. If you're not willing to come to the table and communicate or evolve or grow or whatever it might be, like it's time for us to, in a loving way, part ways.
That's extremely healthy, and unfortunately, it's still pretty rare.
Yeah,
but frankly. Yeah. To be totally judgmental about it, if I was your age when that happened, if I had no one I know now, when your age would be so much better off.
Yeah, dude, it's awesome though because there's so much information available. Like this is spreading, and I'm so grateful for people like you, Barry, to share this with my audience and people who are tuning in and get this value and get this perspective of how they can like train themselves, like master themselves, understand themselves, know thyself to create the relationship of their dreams.
Absolutely. To be the relationship partner of their dreams too.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. That to keep circling back around to what we are is what we will attract, or who we believe ourselves to be or who we think we are, like that's really ultimately that point of attraction is the key source, the key variable to get right, to get accurate, to get aligned, to be able to create whatever reality we want.
The one thing we have dominion over is ourselves. So absolutely, let's do the work where we can.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Tell us about writing. How many books have you written so far? Just one or?
I've written my own book first. I was an author on another book, and I've got a third book brewing that's still in the ethers right now. It's not written down yet. I'm just playing right.
Wow. Tell us about the book writing process, man.
The first book was basically inspired by a friend of mine. I'd actually started putting out on social media back in, this was probably 2011, 2012. I started putting out what I believe that relationship is, posted on social media. Yeah. And I was posting them. And then because I noticed that my newsfeed was moving, I just saved it into a Word document for about 2 or 3 months. And I had 60-something different ideas about relationships I'd just been thinking about, processing, remembered, know that would work, put them into a list. And I was just thinking, I'll do something with them at some point. I'll put a workshop together or a little user guide or something like that. And this is the thing with spirit for me, is that this still small voice, a little voice inside said, write a book, write a book.
Yeah.
2 weeks, I ignored that voice. I was going like, no, I'm not an author. I don't do that sort of stuff. For about 2 weeks this went on. And at the end of 2 weeks, I finally got fed up because the voice didn't change. It wasn't being adamant. It was just being clear. And I said, I sort of internally, I turned to that voice and said, fine, I'm going to do it. And the voice and that little voice laid everything out for me, because what I didn't realize was, what I didn't accept was, is I'd already done all the work to prepare for the book, because I'd already had in previous careers a background in printing and graphic design. So I knew the physicality, and I'd already helped 3 other people create their books through what was then called Create Space on Amazon, which is now ADP. So I knew to create the book was not going to cost anything. So I'd already seen how it was done. I'd done it for other people. But I didn't know the idea of writing it was like a ponderous. I'm like, how do I do that? And then when I saw when Spirit showed me what that little voice said, it's like every single one of those things I've written down is the seed of a chapter. It was explain what I meant in each one of those points. And so I did. I ended up writing out the whole thing. And I basically had the first draft in 6 weeks. Just knocked it out. And then it became a point of reshuffling it. And then at the end of 6 weeks, when I had that like Word document looking at me from the computer, I got scared. So for a year I didn't touch anything. I was like, I can't book. I'm not that. So instead of saying I'm not an author, I don't write. It's like, I'm scared of writing. I'm scared of being an author. So a year later, or thereabouts, I said, okay, I've got to finish this off. So I then committed to doing it, put it up on then Create Space, and I got my first proof back. And when I had the proof in front of me, it sort of landed, literally, physically landed in my lap. I felt it and saw it and was like, this is real. So I need to make sure I cleaned it up, make it right. Because the first one was kind of, wasn't perfect. So then it was another few months of tweaking, editing. We're doing the cover, and they finally released it in 2014. So it was a fun thing. And that book basically has been as one of my friends said, who's a marketing genius, said, books are not meant to be bestsellers necessarily.
Right.
They're meant to be big business cards.
Yep.
And so it humbled me and released me at the same time. I was like, oh, damn, I can't be a bestseller. Oh, great, I'm not going to be a bestseller. Like that sort of energy. I've actually got bestseller because I did it on Kindle instead and made it much more so that was easy to do. But I've used my book. I've been on webinars with it. I've been on summits because of it. It's been a great door opener. And some of my clients have it too. They like it because they're succinct, and it's almost Cliff Notes, but it's enough content for each one to help people with 50 principles to help people find what they want. It's good for 6 couples that gets you really in the mindset of what you want to create in a relationship.
Wow. Dude, that's awesome. I love hearing about people's book writing journey and that process, because especially that year that you had, like you were intimidated by it. It's like it's like there's these seasons, and even if we put a ton of time and energy and efforts and planting and nourishing and watering, and the seed starts to sprout, and it's like, well, am I ready? Am I ready to let this thing grow? Am I ready to do it all? It's like, sometimes it just takes a little bit more time to work through whatever's coming up, to be able to heal through that. Relationships too, man. Like our relationship with ourselves. Like there's certain seasons where it's like, oh, I'm all in on self-care, and there's certain relationships where it's like, all right, I really get to get my life in order and put things in place to have more financial stability or whatever it might be. So I think it's an awesome awareness, man.
Biggest lesson I got out of the whole thing is be patient with ourselves.
Yeah.
Because there is a desire, like, get everything done now.
Yep.
Possible. So unless you're superhuman, and most of us like, let's just be right. Let's do one piece at a time. Be complete. Be successful. Enjoy the process.
Yeah. Let's be good at humans, being a human before we go for superhuman. Love it. I love it, man. What do you got coming up, Barry? You mentioned the book is in the ether. What else is coming up for you that you're excited about, brother?
Basically, I started doing Facebook Lives in 2016 after my coach told me I couldn't do it. I couldn't pre-record the videos and put them on YouTube. It's like, do it on Facebook Live because it's raw and real.
Yeah.
So I was like, in 2016, because after the election, I was a little bit triggered about how women were being treated and respected and talked about. So I started talks, not so much in defense, but in honor of women.
Yeah.
And like the broadcast that became daily sometime in 2017. And so as of tonight will be my 1000th Facebook Live I've done daily. It's been 3 years worth. Yeah, it's quite a journey. And what I've got clear about is there's probably at least 50, 60 good topics over the last 1,000 that I can transcribe and put into a new book. So that's going to be a next book. It's going to be basically taking some of my talks and distill them into a physical written form. That's one thing. And then next month, I think right now we're planning on probably around the middle of March. A friend of mine are collaborating on a mastermind group coaching program called Inspired Heart Mastery, which is going to be with everything.
Wow. Tell us more about that. Like, what, as far as your soul and your commitment, what are you wanting to bring to the world with that?
It's part of what I've been talking about here about self-autonomy and self-respect. It's like it's like having heart-connected relationship with everything we do, so we can remember that we're the center of everything, so we can do the work here.
Yeah.
So we can transform our business, our money, our family, our friends, and everything by doing the work internally. So it's going to be reflections back to us from all the work around us. That's kind of the core element of it.
Wow. I love that. I love how, everything that we experience is because it's what we're putting out into the world. And I was talking to someone earlier today and talked about like how you want to see life and see the world and celebrate it and acknowledge it and like find that list of positive aspects, as Abraham talks about, like, what is the list of positive aspects around this area of life that is currently not working for you. And I love what you said about if you want to be treated well and go out on dates and movies, romance, things like that, start to do that for yourself first. Start to like celebrate that you can give yourself that nourishment and just really acknowledge the qualities, the aspects, the attributes, whatever it is that you want in someone else, and see that in yourself first. And then you'll be the ultimate manifestation being.
Yeah. And be patient with that.
Yeah. Patience and grace. Like what I'm asking, I want to ask, like, how do you fast track your patience muscle? Like, how do you get faster, better?
And be patient. Yeah.
Right. So what's your experience around that? And what can you share as wisdom with our audience around patience and grace, man?
The biggest lesson I get, which is one of the hardest ones to get, and I get it and I lose it, get it and lose it, is the more unattached I become, the easier it happens. This dance of, because when I'm really, it's like being highly invested and minimally attached.
Yep.
Be really clear what I want, really focus on what I want, and manifest this happen, and then move on to the next thing, or just being open to life, and then be surprised that, oh, it showed up. It doesn't happen, because the thing is, being unattached means if it doesn't happen, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
But it's a lot, also, again, that codependent thing I talked about earlier, it's reminding ourselves that we don't need anything out there to make us whole. We have to have the nice cars, the relationship, the house, things, but it's not going to change who we really are inside. It may change our experience, and know that's okay to have both. But if we're thinking about our life won't be worth living unless we have that, and that, those things in the world, it's a hard way to live, and that becomes impossible to manifest. Yes, we can do it out of grit and drive and crush our goals, but ultimately that's not fulfilling. It becomes empty, because when you get there, like, there's no there, as I said earlier.
Wow. Gold, Barry. I want to tell our audience how they can stay connected with you. What are their next steps, brother?
Well, my website is definitely way overdue for an overhaul, but you can go check out my website, my name, which is barryselby.com. My book is there, my self-love meditation, and my Attract the Man You Want program for women is there. I'm busy on social media. If you want to find out more about the upcoming Inspired Heart Mastery, I'll be talking about that more on social media in the next couple of weeks. So follow me on Facebook. All my social media all my social media used to be just my name, Barry Selby, but then Instagram had an argument with me about a year ago, so I've now got a new Instagram account called The Real Barry Selby, because my other account got shut.
Love it.
So, but yeah, follow me on my site on Facebook. Keep in touch.
Cool, man. Awesome. Barry, dude, thank you for the work that you're doing, the light, the love that you bring in, healing relationships, helping people step into creating their creatorship, right? Their sovereignty, their power, just all of it, man. Thank you for the work you do, brother.
Chris, thank you for having me. It's been a joy to talk to you. I'm glad to get to know you, and give my love to Petty, please.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you. We'll see you soon, okay?
Right. Take care.